Joining me now, GOP Congressman from California, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Good evening, Congressman McCarthy. All right, let's get started.
Good evening, Judge. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. All right. Is anything the president said in the conversation that he had with President Zelensky criminal or impeachable?
Not at all. Nothing that he said in there is impeachable. You could even hear the Democrats admit to that. If the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, would have waited 48 hours till she had the transcript, we would never be tearing this country apart. The Democrats are just solely want to discredit democracy. They want to impeach this president, so they're going to create a system that is rigged.
Well, and they've been trying to do that for a while. Now, you just sent a letter to Speaker Pelosi basically saying suspend this so-called formal impeachment inquiry. Why did you do that?
Well, I sent the letter. I said you have to stop it because every time in the past when we looked after Nixon, Clinton, or the judges, we set a process, a fair process, because that's what we believe in this country, the rule of law. So I laid out 10 questions for her. And in those 10 questions are exactly what we did when we dealt with Clinton and Nixon. And you know what she said? She said no to it. Okay. No due process. And any time we've moved forward with an impeachment, we had a vote of all of the Congress. Why? Because America lends their voice to 435 members. They should have a say in this process to start it.
Okay, so when you say due process, you're essentially saying if there were a real official impeachment inquiry that was voted on by 218 members of the House, then there would be due process. You would be able to subpoena witnesses. The president's attorney would be there. You could cross-examine. It becomes a real official, due process hearing. But this is not. And the interesting part of it is that it's in Intel, which is closed door. Am I correct about that?
You're correct. And in the House rules, it's supposed to be in judiciary. So she pulled it out and put it with Adam Schiff, the individual who we know is the common denominator of all the lies. But that's why you did not get the transcripts of that hearing that took place this week. Because if you did, you would have heard there was no quid pro quo. But they want to control everything. And the other thing that when you look at this, why can't the president have fairness? Why can't the minority actually have subpoena power, just like the minority had when Bill Clinton was going forward, what Newt Gingrich had set up?
Well, look, why can't the president have fairness? The president has already been fair. He gave them the transcript. They didn't have to subpoena it. He said, take it. You can look at it. But let me go to the 218 votes. Pelosi refuses to call for a vote. Why do you think that is?
Because she has 31 current members who are Democrats who sit in seats that Trump carried. She'll sit out there and say, oh, Republicans are worried. I'm very clear with her. I tried to bring it to the floor twice to have a vote if that's what she wanted. And she tabled that vote every time because she's trying to protect her members and have it both ways. But she has a system that is unfair. Remember who we have right here. We have President Trump is the most transparent president we have ever had. He delivered a phone call, a transcript. No one has ever asked of that before, just to make sure that it's clear. And nothing in there is impeachable.
Let me ask you a question. I mean, when you talk about a phone call, are they now saying we have a right to ask for every phone call of every conversation a president of the United States has? If the president has called on China to look into Hunter Biden's making $1.5 billion or getting that money from China, and they're not stupid, now is the House going to come in and say we want any transcript of a phone call with Xi Jinping?
I don't think any phone call should be put public because this is why. Every future president, we're weakening our national security. No world leader is going to be honest with whoever sits in that Oval Office again in the fear that whatever they say is going to come forward. But this president had to do this because remember what they accused him. They said it was quid pro quo. He would bring all these different items up. And lo and behold, we find out, no, none of that happened. It's exactly what the president said was on that call. but he had to go this far because they want to discredit democracy. They are upset about the outcome of the 2016 election, and they will stop at nothing to impeach this president.
I want to read this so that my viewers hear it again, and maybe we can put it up. It's a transcript of a phone call where the President Zelensky says, you know, I want to thank you for your support. We're ready to continue to cooperate. We're ready to buy more javelins for defense purposes. Maybe we can put that up, guys. And President Trump says, I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot and Ukraine knows about it. We want to find out what happened with the whole situation with Ukraine and CrowdStrike. Do we not have a transcript of that, guys? Okay. All right. Well, let's go back. Let's go back to the congressman. So, Congressman, is there anything about that transcript that I just read that in any way suggests a quid pro quo?
Not at all. He never said, I'll do this if you do that. And what the president was talking about, let's be very clear. This is an open investigation to get to the bottom of what happened with that Russia collusion. This is an open investigation that the Attorney General had said was already looking into. The President already talked about it before. This is exactly what we do with countries all around the world every single day, to work on investigations to get to the bottom of problems.
All right.
There's nothing illegal about what just happened.
And there is nothing in that conversation that suggests that military aid to the Ukraine is contingent upon a Biden investigation, correct?
Correct. And also, the hearing that we had this week with Volker and others, they said there was no quid pro quo. Money was not held up. Do you realize that President Trump had provided Ukraine more than $1 billion, where President Obama did not?
Exactly.
President Trump also gave them the missiles, or the instruments that they needed to stop the tanks, the javelins, where President Obama would not. This is why this is so crazy.
Let me keep it. I want to ask you a few more questions. We hear that the whistleblower is a member of the CIA. Is it normal for the CIA to be working in the White House?
Yes, they'll have different people attached to the White House at times. Yes,
okay, but should they be involved in domestic investigations at all if you're a member of the CIA? They shouldn't be dealing with these domestic issues.
Well, remember who this so-called whistleblower is. Every time a whistleblower comes before Congress, and they do it all the time, there's two things I look at. Do they have firsthand knowledge, and what is their motive? Well, this whistleblower fails on both because it's hearsay. No firsthand knowledge.
No, I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into that. But what we've got is some very unusual scenarios here. And a president who now is, in addition to them not having members of Congress have to say where they stand on this, they're trying to muddy him up before the next election and do what they've been trying to do since he was elected. Not since he walked in the Oval, but since he was elected. I'll give you the last word because I cut you off. Sorry about that.
You're 100% correct. Nadler ran to be chairman of the Judiciary Committee with all the Democrats, and how he got their vote, he promised he'd be the very best for impeachment. Yep. This is in 2016, right after the president got elected. The first article that came out about impeaching the president was on the day he was sworn into office.
Outrageous.
This is exactly what they want.
Outrageous. All right, Congressman McCarthy, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.